Do you understand how that works? Gradually, you're set free. Your currency becomes worth so much, all of us slowly and gradually become fabulously wealthy. And it makes money irrelevant. We suddenly don't care about it anymore because we can have whatever we want all the time. You could do whatever you want, but you have a conscience that dictates you got to go out there and serve somehow. You've got to contribute. You want to, not because somebody's going to tell you to do it. That's what communism, all this authoritarian stuff I'm talking. I'm against all that stuff. I'm saying you have a conscience that's between you and God, and you have an instinct to want to go out and serve, to do something. You want to be appreciated when you do it, when you use your talents, and you could be multi-talented. You could have a whole lot of things to offer humanity, and you could inspire other people to do great things. But we can have everything. We can have all the accumulated technology, all the accumulated infrastructure, all the accumulated stuff, trinkets and knickknacks that go on and on all day about the different stuff, the material possessions that we could have. And remember, it's just temporal. We're just passing through. So we're really just using stuff. All of us are using stuff. We're just using our own body, for crying out loud. We need new bodies, and that's the promise in the Bible. There's great incentive for being a good, decent, upright human being. And that's that, Jesus said that whoever offers one of these ones that loves me, even a drink of cold water, and that could be a metaphor for a number of different refreshing things. Just comforting somebody, encouraging somebody that's having a hard time, saying, look, you know what? Be glad for something. Be glad for the blessings in this day, that God got you through this day. I mean, recently I was installing a motor mount on my car, okay? It's a 16-year-old car. It looks like it's never been done, even though I paid for this job some 8 years or so ago. It doesn't look like they actually did it, and I didn't watch them while they did it. But long story short, I'm under the car, and I've got it jacked up. And it got late in the evening. I didn't have the new motor mount. I want to make sure I could get the old one out first. But I did finally. It was getting late. It was 8 or so. It was dark out. And I just was praying like crazy just to get this job done. And I mean that. I mean, it wasn't me that did this job, I feel. I just feel like God's grace and mercy just helped me so much. The strength, the wherewithal came from Him through the prayers, because I was scared. I'll tell you what happened. I left the jack overnight. It's a floor jack. It was kind of weak. It's not a big one. I think 2 ton or something. Probably didn't have enough fluid, but it sagged down and it wouldn't go back up. So even though I got the old motor mount out and it was greasy, I mean, you should have seen my hands. We're talking about thick black grease. It took several washings. It took several different types of compounds to get the grease off. But I got the new motor mount the next day, but I couldn't get the engine jack back up. And there's only enough room for one jack because I happen to have another floor jack handy, but I couldn't really get it. It was very precarious. And see, I was praying really hard. And, I could have gone through a great expense to have a mechanic. It would have had to be a mobile mechanic because the car couldn't have been towed to a shop at this point because the engine is jacked up in order to get the motor mount out. But, the point is I got the job done. I got another jack under there just by just incredible, slivers of an odds I would give myself to succeed at this. But I feel the prayer, God helped me, and I got the motor mount on. I got it bolted up on properly. It didn't even look like it was going to line up after everything. And, it's because the engine gets at such an angle. You got to really, twist it up there in order to pull the old one out and to get the new one in. So anyhow, that's a little personal story that I went through recently. And, God's mercy and grace was there. His strength. He gave me the strength, the wherewithal to get through. But, I know you hear a lot of things out there, like these 12-step programs. One of their favorite saying is that God never gives you more than you can handle. But I beg to differ, and I don't mean to be a negativist or be argumentative, but it's like it's not really God. I will say, okay, it's not God that gave you more than you can handle, but it was a false God. Let's say it was Satan talking to you, and Satan gave you more than you can handle. Because if you just listen to God, you can handle it. So it's true, but they should really, say this cliche with that caveat and say, look, this is true, but a lot of people do get more than they can handle, as evidenced through all the suicides at this spot I'm at. Of course, is a favorite spot for suicides through the years. People used to drive their vehicles over this cliff. I don't know if they still just jump off it, but they might probably kill you. It's a long way down. But anyhow, I got distracted there. But life is hard. This is a very tenuous, precarious existence. And it's very hard, even if all our problems were solved tomorrow, all the financial problems were solved tomorrow. Okay, we had complete financial, economic justice on earth, no more wealth disparity, everybody living in great grandeur and prosperity, nobody of want anywhere in the world. Things work fine like a well-oiled machine. And still we've got issues because of our human condition. And this goes back to the fall of man, the original sin, where something went very, very wrong. Okay, we lost our bearings. Now we're the only creature that feels a need to wear clothes or to use money, right? It's very unique to us. And us, I mean humanity, being the most intellectual creature by far and away, at the top of our intellectual food chain, and we are under this burden. This is utter madness what we've bought into, and we've got to understand that. We've got to be honest about that. We've got to admit that we're screwed up in the head, okay? That's the first step to getting it together. That you're not a bad person, you're not a stupid person if you were deceived. If you believed a lie, that's no big deal. The trick is, though, is to come out of it. Come out of the lie, the confusion, the ignorance, the deceit. And say, no, I get it now. I get that the reason that the people that run the world stay in charge is because they are willing to do the things that common, decent people won't do. We just won't do it. We don't care if you handed us all the wealth in the world. We're not going to do certain things and compromise our conscience. We're not going to sell our souls. And that's why we're behind. That's why the good and decent people are the misfits. They're the downtrodden. They're the ones that don't even want to fit in. Just because people are poor does not make them bad. They're some of the cream of the crop. Some of the best people in the world are poor. What does your Bible say about this? Is poverty a moral deficiency? Yet if we listen to the people of this world, the way they talk, it is like, you're just not strong enough. You should do this. You should do that. When really, man, they're just turned off. They don't like the system. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to contend with it. They know the game is rigged, and they don't want to play. They don't want to be rich. Not while it's getting worse and worse, while poverty is still growing, while the wealth disparity is still growing. I don't want money. You understand? I just want to get by. I want to be at peace. I want to know right from wrong, reality from unreality, truth from fiction. And you should want those things. We should all want those things. We should encourage others to want those things. And we got to be honest and get into the nuts and bolts about what it's going to take to extricate ourselves from these problems. Okay, and aside from sound money, folks, to where you start seeing steadily increasing worth of your currency, it's going to take the return of Jesus. Okay, and I mean, I don't mean that facetiously in the least bit. I'm serious that it's going to take big changes. Humanity has been living very decadently, and it's time that people see that. And we've got to say, you know what? I can't stand who I've been. I've got to be the person He wants me to be above all. I've got to be approved from on high, because self-approval or approval from my peers is no way to get kudos, okay? Well, don't be too hard on yourselves. We're born into utter madness and abject delusion. Okay, so the money thing goes very deep with humanity. But we've just got to admit that we're all screwed up in the heads, and that a lot of it has to do with the money. Too much of our time goes to thinking about this stuff, except for those that are well-to-do, and that's no escapist plan there. You can't be okay while others are not, okay? Well, especially, we've got to be willing to walk a mile in other people's shoes, okay, without condemning them, without judging them. We've got to be willing to see things through the eyes of other people, knowing that we've all been dumbed down, neutered and spayed by design to be disempowered, so that we don't know up from down, right from wrong anymore. But you can, if you just turn and ask for the truth, okay, you will get it. You're asking for a good thing, and God will give it to you. He'll pull you out of confusion, pull you out of ignorance. Yes, folks, money in this realm, this world, is a universal deception. It's a pseudo God, and we don't want to have any faith in it. We don't want to trust in it. We don't want to believe in it, which goes contrary to the things the world will tell you, which is antithetical to the things the people of the world will tell you.